All right, let's pull back the curtain on some of the hidden magic that powers, well, pretty much every app you use. We're going to be talking about the secret gatekeeper of the modern web, the API gateway. Let's dive in.
So think about it. You open an app, and it shows you your profile, it processes a payment, it loads up a map, and it's sending you messages all at the same time. How in the world does it juggle all of that without just completely falling apart? That's the big question, and we're going to answer it.
But, to really get the solution, we first have to understand the problem. And in the world of modern software, that problem is basically a giant, confusing maze of something called microservices.
Okay, so picture this. Behind that one app on your phone, it's not one single massive program. Nope, it's actually dozens, sometimes even hundreds, of tiny, separate programs called microservices. You've got one for user accounts, another one for payments, one for notifications. You get the idea. And in the old days, your app had to know how to talk to every single one of them directly. It was, as you can imagine, a tangled, chaotic mess.
For the developers building this stuff, this was a huge headache. They had to manage all these different addresses or endpoints, deal with separate security for each and every service. The code they wrote was super fragile. If just one of those little microservices went down, poof, the whole app could break. It was just a nightmare to build and to maintain.
Yeah, this whole approach was inefficient, it was risky, and it just wasn't going to scale. There had to be a better way to bring some order to all that chaos.
And of course there is. The solution is actually really elegant and super powerful. You just create a single front door for every single request to pass through. And that front door, that's the API gateway.
The best way to think about it is with a simple analogy. Imagine a giant office building with hundreds of different departments. Now, instead of you having to wander the halls looking for the right office, you just walk up to the receptionist at the front desk, you tell them what you need, and they point you in the right direction. Simple, right? The API gateway is that receptionist.
So technically speaking, the API gateway is a management layer that sits right between your app, that's the client, and that whole complicated collection of microservices in the back. It becomes the one single official entry point for everything coming in. And with that one change, the app doesn't need to know about all the messy details anymore. It just has one number to call, the gateway. All that complexity is now tucked away, hidden behind this one clean, simple, and really organized entry point. But this receptionist is so much more than just a traffic cop. It's got some serious superpowers. So let's take a look at what the gateway is actually doing with every request that comes in. Okay, let's follow a single request on its journey. First, your app asks the gateway for something. Let's say your user profile and your recent orders. Right away, the gateway acts like a security guard. It checks the request's ID badge to make sure it's legit. That's authentication. Once it's in, it figures out exactly where to send the request, to the user service and the order service. It might even grab those two different answers, stitch them together, and send one single clean reply back to your app.
Oh, and it does way more than that. It does something called rate limiting, which is kind of like a bouncer at a club, only letting a certain number of people in at a time, so the system doesn't get totally overwhelmed. It can also cache common answers, like keeping a popular file right at the front desk so it doesn't have to run to the back room every time. Plus, it logs everything that's going on and acts as a huge central line of defense for security.
So this is all really cool from a tech perspective, but why does it really matter? What's the actual payoff for businesses and, for us as users? Well, for developers, life gets so much simpler. The difference is like night and day. They go from juggling dozens of different connections to just one. They can offload all that complicated security stuff to the gateway, which means their code becomes way simpler and a lot less fragile. And the result of all that, they can build and ship new features for you much, much faster.
At the end of the day, this isn't just a clever tech fix, it's a huge strategic advantage. You get this massive boost in security and developer productivity, all while making the entire system less complex. For any company, that's a massive win.
So let's just zoom out for a second and really look at the big picture here. We've seen how this one piece of the puzzle can tame an incredible amount of complexity.
This isn't some niche, obscure technology. From your favorite streaming service to online shopping to social media, API gateways are the unsung heroes working their magic behind the scenes. They're the invisible gatekeepers that truly make our fast, connected digital lives even possible. It's pretty much the gold standard now. You see, the API gateway was this brilliant idea that brought order to total chaos. But as our digital world just keeps getting more and more complex, it kind of leaves us with a really interesting question to chew on. When today's elegant solution becomes tomorrow's new mess, what's the next great gatekeeper we're going to have to invent?